Well, you know that means you're on the John Fredericks Media Network and all the John Fredericks apps. Great to have you with us. You can follow me all across social media at JF Radio Show, at JF Radio Show. Anything you want, right there. All the apps, we got them. And we're live on the Trump Bus in Iowa, in Des Moines. We're going to be here all week. We've got Eric Branstad coming up, my co-host this week with me, Chris Saxman. Chris, great to be back in Iowa 2 years ahead of the straw poll. It's 2 years ahead of the caucus.
Well, you're setting the standard.
Thank you.
You've always been. I've complimented you. I don't know how many times because you deserve it. You're the hardest working man in politics today, in the political media in particular. You lived it. You were Trump before Trump. You lived it. You lived the downside of the great financial crisis. So it's deep in your marrow. I get it. I respect it. And the fact that you would come out here 2 years ahead of time to see, because it's not 28, it's 27. That's when the election is really determined. So you're ahead of the game. 1 year. We're out. We're not a year out from first votes being taken. This is the primary for Republicans. This is the time when you hire your people, you get your fundraisers up, you get your people out in the in all the localities and all the precincts and everything. This is when you build your team. And so for you to go out there and say, okay, where is the Republican base right now? Are they going to show up in the midterms, first and foremost, for the Republican Party? Because they didn't show up in Virginia. The low propensity voters didn't show back up. Only 70% of them did from 24 to 25 in Virginia and in New Jersey. And Democrats showed up at an 85% clip. That's why Virginia Republicans lost so badly. That and having a really terrible candidate at the top of the ticket. Who was outraised, outworked, out-hustled, out-organized, everything. But you have to have that momentum early if you're going to win. It doesn't happen in October of 28, right? Donald Trump won this thing when he started in 22 to win the election in 24. So coming out two years early is fantastic. Good stuff.
Well, thank you. We got Eric Branstad coming up this segment, brought to you by the National Association Against iGaming. This thing is making my head explode, folks. iGaming, which is now it's only passed in a couple states. Now they're trying to get it in Virginia. This is another absolute debacle that preys on the most vulnerable in society. iGaming effectively places a casino in every pocket, making continuous betting easy, isolated, and difficult for families or support system to detect. It's nuts. iGaming diverts funding from established public programs like the lottery, which goes to education. Early impact estimates suggest the Commonwealth of Virginia could lose up to $500 million over the next 5 years, $100 million a year for schools. It's crazy. This legislation would defund public education, expand 24/7 gambling. Mm-hmm. Research shows online casino gambling is associated with higher addiction rates, faster losses, leading to increased household debt and financial instability for family. People say, John, you're pro-gambling. Why are you so adamantly opposed to iGaming? Okay, so I bet the Super Bowl last night, right? I bet it a week ago. Took a week for the game. I bet whatever I bet. Game was 3.5 hours. Win or lose. I could have lost that same money in 7 minutes at the parking lot at the 7-Eleven with a cup of coffee. That's the problem, right? I bet a hockey game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3, right? Hockey game is at 7:05.
Right.
Hockey game's over at 10.
Right.
I bet $50. That's 7 hours. I get up and I see the score. I either win or lose. You can lose so much money on your phone in minutes. It's not regulated.
You have to regulate. All gambling needs to be regulated at a much higher level.
Exactly.
Because it's preying on young men
right.
who are looking for financial success when there isn't any.
Right.
They're looking for these cheap hits. There's like in the great line, and we were talking about Landman, the series last night. The shortcut's always the longest road.
Right.
But the problem is these kids are getting trapped in a cycle of debt. It's nefarious. It has to be regulated. Kids can get online as early as 16 and 17 years of age. They use their parents' accounts. They use their parents' emails, whatever it is, to create an account to do these things, and that's their social life. Yeah, and it's very destructive. And we have a gambling show. We talk about gambling. And we talk about lines and that kind of stuff, but I don't bet very heavily. And when I do, I don't bet a lot.
Right.
I do it for fun. I'd rather bet you $20 than bet FanDuel.
Well, it's
because it's more entertainment, more fun to chirp during the game and develop the relationship between us. That's what I find. That's how I like to gamble.
Oh, speaking of that, didn't Joe bet me $100?
I have no idea.
Virginia gang. Oh yeah, you had to leave.
Yeah,
He
I
bet me
signed off
$100.
early.
He took the Patriots.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Joe, send me my 100. Ann's going to send you a bill. Let's go.
But there's a reason why.
Give cash to Michael.
There's a reason why in Virginia you can't bet on Virginia college sports.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Right, because they're in Virginia, right? Yeah,
But why is that?
Because they don't want players and coaches betting.
Because it's inherently corrupting.
Yeah.
And you have to regulate against it.
That's
why they did it.
This message, anyway, we got to get rid of this iGaming. This message paid for by the National Association against iGaming. Thank you. Joining me now, good dialogue, by the way, Chris. Join me now, the one and only Eric Branstad. Now, you could say, well, he's with the Churchill Group, but who he really is the son of long-term governor of Iowa, Terry Branstad. Also, Terry was the Trump 1 ambassador to China. Mm-hmm. And Eric, very involved, very deeply involved in Virginia politics. If you want to know what's going on in Iowa, you got one guy to go to, and that's Eric Branstad. Now, he was supposed to be here live with us on the bus here at the, what hotel are we at? The Rev, I got to look in the back and see. The Revel Hotel, at the parking lot in Urbandale, which Eric set us up at with Michael Whalen. Michael, thank you for having us here. Great hotel, great rooms, great service, great people. We're right off I-80. You can see the Trump bus here. Great view. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you, John. Great to be here.
So you're in D.C. I know you got a big meeting coming up, but my God, Eric, there's so much going on here in Iowa. I just want to start with the rundown. First of all, you've got primary. When is your primary here?
June. Primary. It's the first Tuesday in June.
So that would be what, like June?
So we're looking
June
at
2nd.
4. We're looking
June
at
2nd.
4 months.
Yeah, June 2nd.
Yes.
And
Wow.
Let's start with the governor's race. I mean, this is Kim Reynolds. I guess she's termed out, and we got a congressman running, but he's not here, and people are getting nervous that there's not a lot going on with your Republican choice for governor. Give us a rundown on that.
Well, first of all, John, welcome to Des Moines. I wish I was there with you. In fact, when I did your show a couple weeks ago, my fitness club is right across the street. And President Trump, I was with President Trump a week and a half ago at the machine shed that, in fact, you should definitely have breakfast or lunch there.
That's what we're doing.
While you're there today. I would have been in a cool McEnroe tennis outfit on your show today leaving across the street from my tennis match this morning. But you're absolutely right. Everything with politics starts in Iowa. Especially presidential politics. I've been fortunate to be able to grow up with a front row seat. My dad was elected when I was 7 years old to governor, and we moved to the governor's mansion and from Lake Mills, Iowa. So kind of like Beverly Hillbillies, if you remember that.
Yep.
Moving from the farm to the governor's mansion at age 7. And then he retired when I was 23 years old. So after 16 years, four terms, he retired, didn't get beat, and then he retired for 12 years, and then he couldn't take it anymore. He wanted it back, and in 2010 he won, took office in 2011. I was the Iowa State director for the Trump 2016 campaign. I'd worked in the 2002 gubernatorial campaign. With one of Dad's friends who lost to former Secretary Vilsack for his second term as Iowa's governor. I worked for the Bush campaign. I was just a young 20-something Southeast Iowa field director, going county to county. And what I really learned in Iowa is it's all about getting to those small communities. It's all about getting to rural Iowa. President Trump's voice was... I tell this to a lot of folks, and Iowa, they call Iowa a red state now. Well, Iowa wasn't always red. Right. Iowa was red, I say, after Terry Branstad's comeback in 2010, And then in President Trump's 2016, Eastern Iowa was your working class Democrat historically for decades. And after President Trump, Eastern Iowa is now solid red and really has been. So, but, we're not that red. We've taken some majorities, especially in some of those rural Mississippi counties. But now we really need to focus on this governor's race, which is a very big one. Congressman Randy Feenstra is a great candidate. He's out there raising money, but the reality is we have a well-funded Democrat named Rob Sand in this race, with, I think, if I'm right, triple the funding, and Randy's fundraising was record-breaking in itself. So we have a lot of work to do. We've got to get the message out. There's some other candidates in the primary for governor. So, they're all working really hard, and we got to work it.
The thing about Randy Feenstra, he got Trump's endorsement, but he's in Congress, and the issue we've got here with Rob Sand, the Democrat, I think he's the treasurer. Well, the guy doesn't really have a record. I mean, all you do is move numbers around, but he's in the state, and he's campaigning like he's a moderate, and he's going around all these counties, and he's at diners, he's at churches. I mean, he's everywhere, and Randy's in Washington. And a lot of people are now getting worried that Feenstra really is not caught fire. He's not really connecting with people. And yeah, he's got money, and yeah, he's got Trump's backing. But this other guy, Sands, has come from nowhere. And you look at the polling, he's right there. And this should be a red state. What level of concern do you have?
Well, my concern is big. First of all, the Brandstads would absolutely recommend to you, my dad and I, historically, forever, the first thing we would recommend to you is you go and you live and you spend time in all of Iowa's 99 counties. You eat there, you drink there, you make friends there. I mean, it's those kind of relationships built across the state, which is what Rob Sand has been doing really for the last, 6-8+ years. So right. He's absolutely taking the Branstad playbook. Congressman Feenstra, he's just getting started. I hope to see a lot from him in the coming months because, as you just pointed out, it's go time, and now it's time to live in the state and breathe the state. And like I said, you got to go, just like Chuck Grassley, just like Terry Branstad, you've got to go to all 99 counties every year, and you need to go and spend time with all your friends in all those counties every single year. That's what it takes in Iowa. That's the kind of work that you've got to put into it.
But Randy can't do that because he's in Washington.
My dad always said, it's never necessarily a good idea for a congressperson to run for governor because you've got to really honestly take a year off and spend time across the state. So he needs to figure out his schedule really well because we cannot afford to lose this race. And I'm going to start playing a bigger and better role than what I've been doing thus far because I care that much.
Let me ask you something. What is you talk to people every day, Eric. You got your finger on the pulse here. You grew up in the governor's mansion. What's our level of enthusiasm for the MAGA base right now in Iowa in 26?
The MAGA base in Iowa is always huge. And I realized it when I was working on the campaign, and I had grown up in politics, so I had seen many presidential races from, like I said, from a front row seat. But the difference with this one is that we were not, we couldn't even get we couldn't get enough signs in, we couldn't get enough hats in, we couldn't get enough of anything because it was so popular. And the reality was people were making their own. People were taking hay bales in their fields, and they, the big round bales, and they were putting them on their side, and they were putting a T on one an R on another one, a U, an M, and a P. I mean, that's the kind of organic grassroots, politics that
But are
formed
you
around
feeling
Trump,
that? Are you
and it was
feeling
like
that?
this on
Are you
every
feeling that
farm.
now? Are you feeling that now?
I feel it now, but we need to have it trickle down to our statewide candidates, and and I expect them, now that winter is getting over, that they're going to be out there 100% of every day, and we'll be helping them, and we'll be campaigning, and we'll be showing Iowa who the real leaders are, and who's going to make a difference for the future.
Let's get so Randy is going to be the nominee. The risk is he's not getting out to people. He's not really resonating. So there's a potential here that governor's seat becomes a risk, simply because we got a lackluster campaign of a nice guy that got Trump's endorsement, but he's in D.C. So that poses an issue. Let's get to the U.S. Senate race. Joni Ernst retiring. What is going on there? Give us a rundown. Who are the GOP candidates? Who did Trump back? What do you see there?
Well, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson got the endorsement for Trump for Senate for Joni Ernst's seat. She's running absolutely perfect campaign. She is out there working her tail off. She's doing exactly what I would recommend. She's got some great videos out. She's got endorsements now from everybody. Just got one from Governor Reynolds.
Wait a minute. If she's in Washington and Randy's in Washington, why is Hinson getting out and he's not?
Well, that is a good question. That's something that you're going to need to talk to. He's been out. I'm not saying that Congressman Feenstra hasn't been out. I think it's just hasn't been as seen as Congresswoman Hinson has, and I think she also got an early start to her campaign, and she jumped on it with full force, and I don't think he's been quite there in that same way.
All right. So does she have any competition?
She has no competition, and she is. There might be someone, a non-fundraising, several tiers down, but she's running up. She is going to win, and I have the full confidence in Ashley.
All right, so Ashley Hinson is in good shape. Who did Vanderplat just back the other day?
So Bob Vanderplat just backed Adam Steen, who is running for governor. He's one of the primary opponents for Congressman Feenstra. He's a dynamic guy. He's a nice guy. I've known him for a very long time. My concern is that doesn't quite have the statewide or district-wide political experience for this particular seat. For the governor's office. But he was nominated, or he was head of Department of Administrative Services for the state. Right. Did a great job. Just in my opinion, not quite ready for the head table.
So does Steen with Vanderplat, because Vanderplat's big here, right? I mean, he's part of the Life Coalition, et cetera, which is very, very big. The evangelicals. Can he move the needle for Steen and give Randy trouble, a run for his money, Eric?
They've got a voting bloc, and so their coalition can certainly help. However, they're really not. They're no help from the fundraising perspective, or necessarily the larger organization perspective. And they've got so they're going to be helpful. Certainly to him, but I don't think anywhere near a game changer.
Are there any other candidates that are meaningful in that race, or just Steen and
all of them are good friends and are quality candidates, but they just, I would say, overall lacking the experience from running the bigger campaigns and having the bigger donor network and the bigger organization. That's what they lack.
So interesting, because I'm hearing a lot of hand wringing over the Feenstra campaign from too many people. And normally when you start seeing that, Chris, it's not good.
Not
It's
this
like
early.
he's not getting out.
Not this early.
He's not resonating. He's not doing this. And a lot of people are very worried. Hey, hold the song here. We'll just run right through the next segment with Eric Branstad. And that this guy, Rob Sand, like when I was at the winter meeting in Santa Barbara, a lot of Republicans that know this area were very concerned about this guy, Rob Sand, because he's got no record. He's kind of like Spamberger. I'm a moderate. Of course, he's a libtard. But he's got no record as treasurer. I don't know, he bounced a checkbook or something. That was his record. He didn't make any policy. And but he's out there going to the diners, doing exactly what Eric said. Go ahead.
No, well, this early in the contest, to have that kind of lack of momentum, you have some. It sounds like some inertia in the Feenstra campaign. You know, you got to break through that. And if you have and what Eric just said, and good morning, great to talk to you. What he said was, if you listen to his words, he said that the one that Vanderplaats is supporting is dynamic. If you're dynamic and you have a coalition like the coalition that Vanderplaats has behind him here in Iowa, you could be looking at an upset. And you know that's what we're out here for, John. Is to see what's really going on in the base of the Republican Party. And this gubernatorial election, I think, is going to set up a dynamic that could be replicated in the 28 caucuses, which, as you know, takes place in 27. So it's really, really important for the rest of the country for you to be out here and doing this and seeing this and kicking the tires, because you could be looking at a potential upset with a great candidate like Feenstra. But if he's not out here connecting with the people, you know, politics is about the future. You can run on your past, you can run on your accomplishments, but you're not listening to the voters and what they want in the future. They're not going to come out and support you. This is about future sales, not past sales. And I think that's one of the things that Trump is really good at. And you have an outsider coming in. You know, I see that dynamic just being set up. It could be very dangerous for Feenstra's campaign.
Very, very dangerous.
But it should also propel it. It should get him here. He should feel that heat go, I got to get back there and win this daggone primary.
Well, I mean, he should do what Eric said, what Ashley Hintz is doing, is she comes back every single weekend and goes out.
That's why she doesn't have competition.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go work.
It's a work.
So we'll see what happens.
Work. It's just work.
Eric,
you know, Dad always told me, you know, after Dad retired, and you know he wasn't going to run in. This was back in 1998. So after serving 16 years, from 83 to 99. So the 98 campaign, Jim Lightfoot was the nominee, a congressman nominee for Iowa, was ahead in the polls the entire way, and it was a Clinton midterm.
Oof, brutal.
And we lost that race. So there are a lot. And you know, Dad always said, again, back to my point, it's concerning for a congressman to run for governor because it takes a year of you know living and working the state, you know, day in and day out. Spending time with your friends is the only way to really get it done. So,
yep.
Oh, 100%. All right, Eric, we got a couple of congressional races that I want to get to, but before we do that, I want to get a sense here of what you see in the presidential sweepstakes. That's why we're out here, because this to me, Eric, is since 2016, which I was very involved in. This to me is one of the most critical first in the nations we're going to have, because we got to pass the mantle.
Yeah.
So as a MAGA supporter, as an OG like you are, Eric, you and I are OGs. That's originals. There's about 35 of us. We're originals. We got to pass the mantle now. And so it's not like you know, it's not like Romney or Gingrich, you know, or McCain or who was McCain running? Huckabee. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's very different. It's not Bush and McCain. It's very different now.
Huge,
right? It's not Nixon, Reagan.
What's the viability of the movement when the movement leader is not on the ticket?
Bingo.
Huge.
I mean, this could have such ramifications.
Huge.
And I think Iowa is going to be bigger than New Hampshire, Eric,
No
I think it's going to
question.
be bigger than New Hampshire.
No question.
I know Cruz won Iowa in 2016. Then we went to New Hampshire, blew them out, end of story. Won South Carolina, that was it. I think Iowa's going to be bigger than it was in 2016. I think the winner of Iowa is really going to have an upper hand going to New Hampshire. And we are the first again.
Yep.
What is your sense? Vance, Rubio, Eric, you talk to everybody. What are people saying?
Well, certainly, Vice President Vance is doing a great job as vice president. He certainly, is the lead as we're looking into things right off the bat. And he's done a great job and has been a great ally to President Trump. Now, Secretary Rubio has really impressed me. Now, I don't know if you remember, he spent a lot of time back in 2016 in Iowa, and he wasn't that great of a candidate. However, I have watched him as Secretary of State, and I've been impressed every second of the last year in how he handles the media, how he handles his job, how he handles a ton of responsibility. So, that's also, there's more than just me, looking at his great, working track record over the course of this year. And then you've got, Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucuses, was a Bob Vander Plaats, Iowa family, or the family leader, his group. They worked really, really, really hard for Ted Cruz and helped him put together a really great, political operation. Whereas, the Trump campaign at that particular time, the caucus campaign, was just more organic and more really forming fast. Didn't have quite the organization that Cruz was able to put together at the very end. So I think, with those three, they're the top tier names being discussed right now. I think all would be great candidates. I certainly think it's Vance's to lose though right now, and I think we should. I haven't had many conversations with them yet, but we should start seeing him early and often to Iowa if he wants my advice.
I think you nailed it. You know that it's going to be difficult for Rubio to be there as Secretary of State. I mean, it's very hard. So if he's going to run for president, he's got to make a decision there. Very tough to do both. Vance is going to be tough because he's VP. Probably got a little more flexibility, right? But Cruz can do what he wants. He's U.S. Senate. He can just. Right. He went last time to 99 counties, and I was with the Trump campaign here in January 2016, and we were going to factories and stuff like that. But Cruz was everywhere, and he had a real organization. We had a helicopter. It was organic, like you say. Really didn't have the kind of things we needed. And of course, either did Dr. Carson, and that thing collapsed because Cruz said he quit the race and he had nobody at the caucuses to dispute it.
That was a big stain in Iowa caucus history.
I'll never forget that. It was a Jeffro diabolical move. Just so people know from history, Carson, who was running about third there and actually had traction, but he had no organization, and you got to go to these caucuses, and then you got to have a representative there that is speaking for you, that is managing it.
Oh yeah.
Well, he didn't have anybody in probably 65%. He didn't have anybody there. He didn't have the ground game, and so either did President Trump either.
Well,
but what they did with Dr. Carson is he went home before the caucuses to resuit. He was out of clothes and he had stuff that he had to do at home. He had to go home, and so the Jeff found out, Cruz's campaign manager, campaign consultant, and so in all of the caucuses that Ben Carson didn't have anybody, they put flyers out saying that he had dropped out of the race that night. And they were just handing him out to the people close. Well, he dropped out of the race. Well, they had no way to dispute that. And social media was not as big then that it is now. And so the Carson people went to Cruz. It was diabolical, but it was brilliantly done. And that's
cheap,
how,
or that's what I call cheap.
isn't that what happened? That's what happened.
Yeah, no, it was a stain, I think, on Iowa caucus history. Because what I love about the Iowa caucuses, and I hope you do too, John, is that it's it's very grassrootsy, and it's very these are there's even some caucuses in in really small communities in people's living rooms.
Yeah.
And the churches and the schools, and I mean most of my caucuses have been in the local middle school's classroom. I mean, it really gets organic like that, and I love
really cool.
being a part of each of those.
It's so cool, and that's why and I think this time, because we're passing the mantle, is going to be different. So, but you're saying right now it's Vance's to lose, but you wouldn't count out Cruz, and you wouldn't count out Rubio. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and I was just having this conversation, I think, yesterday. What hasn't Secretary Rubio, though, publicly said that he's not going to run for president against Vance? Hasn't he publicly said that?
Kind of.
I think he said it directly, but look, this is politics.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Kind
politics. I mean, I know politics.
Right. I mean, like that's 2025.
Yeah. I mean, you take Rubio out of the mix,
but
I mean, DeSantis isn't going anywhere.
Well, look, if Marco Rubio and Donald Trump are seen as the people who take out Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran dictatorships, the brand for Rubio is on the rise right now in the Republican Party. And he did really well here in 2016.
He finished third.
Close third.
And I think if it would have been another week or two, he would have done even better.
Yeah.
No, all I hear about when this is the point about getting out and doing these bus tours, and Eric, thanks for calling in and doing all these things. When you're out here talking to people, just listen. Politicians need to shut up and listen, because the people will tell you everything. They're the ones who are doing the voting. When they bring up Rubio without asking, and people say, "Oh man, did you see what Rubio's doing? Did you see him in that hearing?" You don't see J.D. Vance out there right now. You don't. And this is where the Vance team has to be a little bit more forward in doing these things and coming out to Iowa and building the relationships and building the network, because he's there because he's on the top of the ticket. He's the VP. How many VPs do well in the passing of the mantle? It depends.
Very hard.
It's not a lock.
I mean, George H. Didn't he lose the first prime? He lost Iowa to Dole, and then he won New Hampshire.
In 88.
Remember, and he said, "Thank you, New Hampshire." And then when he got elected president in his inauguration speech, he thanked New Hampshire again. No New Hampshire. No,
so did Bill Clinton.
No George H.
So did Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton got crushed here in Iowa.
Right.
And then finished third in New Hampshire and claimed victory. I don't know.
And in 2016, when Bernie got so close to Hillary in Iowa, everyone was like, "Oh,
well, Bernie actually beat her."
They got a problem. They got
a
problem.
Look, Eric, Branstad with us. We good. But it's so important, Eric, when you go in these living rooms, because you're passing the mantle. It's just not like, oh, who are we going to pick, right? You're passing the MAGA mantle.
Word of mouth is so important in states like Iowa because they're so close-knit communities.
What do you think, Eric?
It absolutely is. I mean, and you really, like I said, it comes down to those. It comes down to the bus tours, and it comes down to getting to people's communities. It was always Dad's. I mean, Dad is undefeated and the longest-serving governor in U.S. history. For really just that simple, it's not anything more than that. It's putting on the miles.
God,
it's so putting on the miles.
I tip the hat to anyone who can win statewide that many times, regardless of the party. When you're out there grinding and listening to people, and they still keep sending you back, even if they disagree with you. But the guy came around, he listened to me, and I like that. That's so important in this game.
Exactly.
And that's what I mean. And President Trump did that in Iowa too, and his crowds. I remember my first meeting with President Trump, April 8th, 2015. So this is way before the caucus. He wasn't even being taken serious as a candidate at all. And I spent an hour with him, and I fell in love with him because he sat there and listened and talked to me, and he cared about what I was talking about and was engaged in what I was talking about. And he hasn't forgotten that conversation either since.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do. You got to come out here and talk to me. That's why we're here. We're going to find out in a week where people's heads are
Well,
at.
John, that's what stood out to me when we were talking last night at dinner. When you told me that Trump listens to your show, the president listens to your show between 6:30 and 7 every morning. I mean, not like
Not every morning,
not
but
constantly.
yeah.
When he's getting ready for work, I'm like, you know how big that is?
Right.
That the president of the United States listens to, because he listens to your callers. He listens to what they're saying, the
Right.
manner in which they're saying it, the words that they're using, and
The words you're using.
huge, because he listens, and that's like his secret power. The superpower is he listens to
Well, he
me.
asks me every time I see him. He asks me the same three questions over and over. How's Ann? Great. How's Joe? Did he get drafted? The Yankees need to draft him. They had no left-handed pitching. Is he on them yet? No, sir. He's still in college. Good. What are my callers saying? What are you callers saying? That's it.
Because
Third question. What are you callers saying?
well, he goes on a personal level, which I've heard he's really good at. But the guy runs restaurants, casinos, golf courses. That is retail 101. What are my customers saying about my product every single day? And I ask people in New York, what's he really like? The people who do business with him, they're like, this, that, and the other thing on real estate development, but he runs a hell of a golf course. He runs a hell of a hotel because he listens to his customers.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you build those businesses.
Absolutely. All right, Eric Branstad with us in Washington, D.C. Hey, when you have your meeting today, tell Marshall I said hi. Tell him I'm on a bus tour in Iowa, which I talked about when I was in Santa Barbara. He's a great guy. Let's get to...
sure will.
Yes, do that. And if you see Ashley, tell her John Fredericks says hello.
Done.
We love Ashley. Okay, Ashley and Marshall. Now, let me get to this. You got a couple of congressional seats here. I know you're personally focused on.
Yep.
Tell me what they are, where they are, and who the candidates are.
So there is one you're going to be visiting with my friend Joe Mitchell, running for Ashley Hinson's congressional seat. So that'll be up in Mason City. He's got Northeast Iowa. He's running a great campaign. Just got the endorsement from President Trump. His primary opponent just went out of the race. Joe has raised an awesome, crazy amount of money from October through now. Very proud of him. He's well on the way to being our next congressman. Then you've got Representative Mary.
Is that 01? Is that one?
That's
one?
now that's 02. It used to be 01, if I'm
02,
getting
got
the
it.
map right.
Okay, so Mitchell 02 in Northeast Iowa. Will be with him on the Thursday, Mason City. Okay.
Correct. And then Marionette, Representative Marionette Miller Meeks. She ran 3 times, won on her 3rd time. She's now in her 3rd term, working very hard. She's become a great fundraiser, and she's always been a super campaigner. She's in the toughest district. The numbers are always tough, no matter what's happening. But she is one of those two, like Dad and like the rest of our team, really outworks them, knows how to do it. And I'm confident. I mean, right now, the latest polls that I've seen are not that great on just blue versus a red, D plus. But regardless, she's going to be hard to beat. Then we've got in the 3rd district Representative Zach Nunn, longtime friend, also very hard worker. He was spent a lot of time with the president when he was in Iowa a week and a half ago, really working the room. No one's going to outwork Zach. So he has another tough district in a tough year, midterm year, but I'm also confident that he's going to get it done. And then we've got recently endorsed Chris McGowan from the 4th district. So that's a very conservative, safe seat for Iowa, always has been. That's the one that Congressman Randy Feenstra is leaving to run for governor. Chris McGowan is a longtime chamber guy from Sioux City, Iowa, the largest city in his district. has really earned a lot of friends through the years. So I'm very confident in all those races. But as you know, this is midterm year. Nothing's going to be easy. The fundraising competition is real, but they're working it, and I'm confident that we're going to come together. We're going to get this done.
McGowan, Chris McGowan, is he the gentleman that we met at that night we had dinner at Butterfield's?
It's not. That was Ryan Rhodes, who is actually who's running against Chris. Unfortunately, didn't get the endorsement, but he was a real leader. He was a Tea Party leader. He was on the leader of Ben Carson's campaign or his caucus campaign. Real good friend. All great candidates. It just sucks when your friends run against each other.
It's tough. So Sioux City, and that is Chris McGowan. After this is over, I'm going to ask you to give me his number so we can try to get him on our show.
Yeah, Northwest Iowa, and I know I have his number very handy here.
All right, I'll get that in a minute. All right, we're going to get to a phone call. Tim in Orlando, Florida, on Iowa, for John, Eric, and Chris. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, no, I just, a lot of these states are great. I know I know you're promoting all of these candidates in Iowa, which is great. So you take the 3rd district of Des Moines, Iowa. All these states are in pressure to switch it to blue. For example, Des Moines, 3rd district, Zach Nunn's district, they had that Ian Roberts, the school superintendent, that was completely fake. The Democratic board hired this guy with fake doctorate claims, misrepresentation, falsehood, resume discrepancies, false citizenship, immigration status, and he even got charged on a firearm charge.
He's a total fraud. He was a legal immigrant, didn't have a PhD. Guy stole the money.
Yeah.
Eric, what the hell was going on with that?
You should hear my dad get all heated up when talking about that. Because there's a lot of safeguards in place, but no, keep going. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tim.
No, you're exactly right. It's like they have no fear of being arrested for hiring these falsehoods, these false people. They have no fear of being arrested, being set out. Like, where's the outrage on those boards? Who even looked at his resume? So that's what I'm saying. It's like we can't let ourselves get into this false sense of security that we're going to keep these states red when they're fighting so hard to turn them blue, as where I live in Orlando and in Florida. Yep. Believe me.
Yeah. Right. Well, let me start by saying it was a complete lapse of judgment for everyone involved, especially the Des Moines school system, all that. It was embarrassing in every sense, embarrassing for the state. The very simple, bureaucratic checks and balances that have been there forever were not utilized. It was a complete black eye on the state and certainly the city. I just moved from Des Moines to West Des Moines. For the fact is, Des Moines is the Democrat controlled. Just like any other cities where we've seen Democrat control, we see what happens. I'll tell you one of the big reasons I left Des Moines. The streets are so bad. You have to have a military vehicle to drive on these roads. The potholes and everything have gotten so bad. You come to West Des Moines, a conservative-run city. My friend is the mayor. These are brand new roads, and these are perfect schools and perfect systems. So I think hopefully America and these blue cities are waking up to what works in leadership and what doesn't.
Sounds like Washington, D.C., right? The most safest, most beautiful, most gorgeous city in America, Washington, D.C., where I live, but sounds like you and your family finally got out of that hellhole. In New York City, what were they saying? What's the guy been in office a month, right? Garbage piled up all over the place.
Really?
Trash They can't get the trash
This is
picked
such a
up.
great message.
There's rats all over the place. I mean, this guy's been in office, Eric, a month. They ran out of money. They're back. One month he's saying we're bankrupt. Now they can't pick the garbage up. The rat infestation, they say, has gone up 20-30% because when you get all that garbage, they eat, and then they get healthy, and then they repopulate, and they all go eat again. It's like and he's been there a month.
This is the real problem for Democrats. Can you name one city that not even on a partisan level, blue versus red? And I hate the reductive nature of our politics. We get down to colors. I mean, do they run cities well or not? And the answer is no. Can you name one that Democrats run well? This is
Washington, D.C.
This is a real branding problem for them.
Trump took it over. Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is a real branding problem for the Democrats.
Yeah.
Because they got to make the case. They got to run the country, and the Republicans got to go, you can't even run a city.
That's right.
And that's a real problem for them.
That was
Speaking honestly in politics. Like, look, I mean, Eric's dad was 22 years in governor because he did the job, right? If he wasn't doing a good job, they wouldn't have sent him back.
24 years.
Oh my gosh, it's just amazing.
Well, 22 and a half.
Oh, that's when he went to China.
Because he became the ambassador midway through his
If you
sixth
do
term.
your job, people will move. Like he's moving to West Des Moines, which is where we are right now. People move here because it's better. They ran it better. I mean, these things. This is where the policies matter. Mondani is an idiot. He's going to ruin that city, and everybody knows it. Don't try to save him. If I'm a Republican in New York, I'm like, give that guy whatever he wants. We'll show you what's going to happen to this country.
I'm going to go to a quick break here, but I got to bring in chairman just because we got Eric on. Have to bring in the chairman before we go to break and then hold him over of the Iowa Republican Party. Great friend of mine doing a super job, Jeff Kaufman. Hey Jeff, let's bring Jeff in for a minute here before we go to break. You're on with Eric Branstad. Eric's all fired up. He had to go to Washington, D.C., so he's not here with us. But figured you want to say hi to Eric.
Well, and hold on, Jeff. Jeff is going to fire you up because he always fires me up. So I look forward to listening on this next part of the show before my 10 o'clock here in D.C.
All right, we're going to have Jeff Kaufman here in a minute. Want to thank Eric Branstad for being with us. Eric, people want to follow you on social media. Where do they go?
E. Branstad on Twitter. Easy. E. Branstad. That's it.
All right.
Nice.
And you're going to tell Marshall I'm in Iowa, in Des Moines.
And Ashley, I certainly.
You're going to tell Ashley I said hi. Ashley ran the greatest state campaign ever in Pennsylvania for Trump in 2024. Was unbelievable.
And she was in Iowa winning in 2020 too. So that's how
she's
I got
unbelievable.
her. She's a go-getter.
And then she was scrambling to get enough signatures to get Trump on the Washington D.C. ballot in 2020 at the final hour. She's a beast, no question about it. Eric, thank you for being with us. We're going to see you soon. Don't forget to text me Chris McGowan's number.
Done.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. Jeff Kaufman next.
Nice to meet you.
John Fredericks, Chris Saxman, live in Iowa.